Thoughts from the Trail. I'm Scott Anderson.
Good morning from the trail. I have climbed this rainy, foggy, chilly morning about 2,000 feet in the mountains. So the gap between where I live and where I'm standing right now is about 2,000 feet. And this gap is the topic of my thoughts from the trail for today. And I've been thinking about the gap between our very good intentions in life and what we actually do. So there are times where we can say, oh, I intend to get this done. Maybe I intend to call my friend, but 3 weeks later, we have yet to do it. And as I've been hiking, I've jotted down a few thoughts that I wanted to share with you about this gap in intentions. And before I do so, I want to share a quote that I'm reading a book right now by Scott Galloway. It's a really good book. And in that book, he says our gap between our intentions and our outcomes, the one that we're seeing today, is a reasonably strong predictor of how we're going to perform in the future. Now, it is not etched in stone that our gap between our intentions and our outcomes is that way just because of the way it is now. We get to intervene, and maybe we can shrink and maybe eliminate that gap. But he does say it is a really good predictor of where we're going to be in the future. So I started thinking about some of the reasons behind why there is a gap in our intentions. And here's some of the things that I just jotted down really quickly. First off, for many of us, and this is not necessarily one that I'll tag on myself, but I will say for many folks that I'm aware of, is the idea of procrastination. We say, oh yeah, I'm going to do that, and then we just keep putting it off, we keep putting it off, and we keep putting it off. So if you find, as you're reflecting on this topic, that you're a procrastinator, and if you decide that you want to close your gap between intentions and your outcomes and your actions, then really address the procrastination that you recognize within yourself. Another one could be around lack of clarity. You might have intentions about what you want to do, but you're not really clear about what you want to do, or maybe you're not clear about the outcomes that you're looking for. So if that's something that you think in your own self-awareness is for you, then develop ways of creating clarity. Write them down. Talk to people about them. Ask others who might be doing the things that you're doing around how they've created clarity for themselves. And then another one, I think this is also one that is very, very common, is we just get overwhelmed. And we get overwhelmed for a number of reasons, mostly for reasons that are within our own control. But if you do find that you're overwhelmed, stop, take a breath. And what helps for me on the rare occasions that I do get overwhelmed is if I literally write down the things that I'm thinking about and that are making me feel overwhelmed, and then I just pick one and I keep breaking it down into small little chewable chunks of things that I can do and get success and gain some momentum, then that is very helpful. And it helps me slowly but surely and methodically overcome the things that are overwhelming me. So again, if you find yourself becoming overwhelmed, then with your own self-awareness, come up with strategies to reduce the whelming. So you're not overwhelmed and maybe just whelmed. And then another one is fear of failure. Now again, I think this is pretty common. We're saying, okay, I would like to, and I'll make this up, climb Mount Timpanogos someday, or climb Mount Everest, or do whatever your goal is. But you never really move towards that because you're afraid of failure. This applies to us in our relationships, in our work environments, in our hobbies, in pretty much all aspects of our lives. So if you find yourself in a place of fear of failure, write those things down and develop a strategy on how you can create success. And I find that the fear of failure and becoming overwhelmed can be related, so it may be helpful if you're fearing something to write down the steps along the way, and it helps provide clarity and light for you. And And then the last one, and again, this one is very, very common. This one I would not necessarily ascribe to myself, although I can definitely tell you instances of when it does apply to me, is lack of self-discipline. You've got to wake up every day and commit to yourself that you want to do the things that you intend to do. And maybe because if you even developed a plan, you just literally look at the plan that you develop and you begin executing. And you've got to do it consistently. You have to avoid the temptations and distraction and all the noise that the world's going to throw at you and that maybe you even create yourself, but stay disciplined on achieving the goals that you're wanting to achieve. So those are some of the things that I've been thinking about this morning. And then the last thing that is just really great, regardless of whatever your conditions are between your intentions and your gap, whatever your challenges are, is try to put yourself in a supportive environment, whether it's one that you create just for yourself and only yourself, or maybe it's helpful for you to utilize the energy of others who are also working towards a similar goal and who will be supporting you towards achieving your goals. At the end of the day, though, even though they're there, remember, it's still your responsibility. Anyhow, that's what I'm thinking about today. I want to enclose the gap between my intentions and my outcomes, and I have to be real, and I have to face the facts that many times I am not achieving the outcomes that I am intending to achieve. So I'm going to continue to think about that. I ask and invite you to think about it, and may we be blessed as we think about these things, and I'll see you next time on the trail.